photography, it's something that I've always loved. I've always loved having my picture taken. And, you know, this is something that I always strike poses. And today we have a guest with us. Her name is Chenesai. Chenesai is the head founder of Pixel Photo and Pixel Business. Good morning, Chenesai.
I'm great, thanks. Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And sorry, Chenesai. It's Chenesai, not
Chenesai.
Why didn't you correct me?
I get it all the time. Chennai.
I know. I also with my name. Some people are just like, yes, that's me. Yes.
yeah. No, but
Chenesai,
right,
that's absolutely fantastic. Now, photography. Why photography? And when did you start?
I think I kind of stumbled into it.
Okay.
Started 10 years back. It's actually been a decade this year.
Wow.
But pretty much month before uni, got into a leadership program, kind of asked the right questions, you know, kind of figured who I am, realized that I really love taking memories and all of that stuff. And one thing led to another, and today we're on ZTN.
On ZTN, talking about your journey.
Yeah, talking about photography.
So 10 years, that's a whole decade.
Yeah.
In your decade, Chenesai, what can you say has stood out for you the most pertaining to the events that you have done or how you have grown as an individual?
I think pertaining to events, it's just how it's evolved. Okay. You know, back in the day, we'd hear of photographers in Africa, you need to swear, who would charge like $1.
Yeah.
And there had to be a transition to telling our parents want to be photographers. That's what they thought. But now photography is like, you know, just paying. It's evolved so much, not only in Zimbabwe, but yeah. And then I think personally with my growth, it's also just having more female photographers in the industry. When I started, I actually didn't know many people. I just knew 2. But now there's so many female creatives, so many photographers, videographers, even directors. So that's been really great to watch and be part of the evolution.
There's been some events that I have been to, and you have been there with your camera, just taking pictures. So it is actually lovely because today, obviously, we are celebrating women in the entertainment industry, and photography is something really that not a lot of women do. I see this a lot in church, even when you have it's just the guys behind the camera. Why do you think that has been so?
I think it has more to do with just seeing more of those kind of people. Usually people aspire to something they see. So if someone wants to be a billionaire because they've known someone within their community who has had those kind of goals. So I think now, because we have more women in media, I think in the next 5 years, you'll actually see just a sprout of a lot of female creatives, photographers, videographers. Yeah. So it's an
uphill climb. And you know, when you talk about your clients and the people, if you approach them and as a woman, do they hesitate a little bit or say, do you know George? Because I want him to take my pictures. Have you ever encountered something like that?
I haven't actually. I've realized people really don't care about that. They just want you to deliver. Your photo's done. And because it's photography, it's based really on referral and your work. If you can do the job, people are easy. But I have seen, however, being a female leading a male team, that people often have this patriarchal thing they have where they ask my intern or assistant on things, and they can't grasp that, you know, I'm a lead creative on this project and stuff like that. But you know, you navigate.
How do you manage that situation? Do you say, excuse me, I'm the boss, or do you just let it ride because it's the mature thing to do in the situation? How have you done?
I actually let it ride. Not necessarily it's the mature thing, but if I'm a lead creative, my job is to create an environment for these guys to be leaders as well.
Right.
So when someone approaches them, it's actually good.
Yeah.
You know, I want to see how they respond to clients and all of that, and they, in a way, kind of take a lead position and just helps them in their growth. So
yeah, that's very good. It then doesn't become about you; it becomes about
it's about the brand
and building your brand as well.
Yeah.
So tell me something. When it comes to taking a picture of someone, say you need to take a picture of me right now.
Yeah.
What are you looking at? Is it me that you look at, or is it my orange or green, or are you looking at my background? What eye do you need to have to be a photographer?
So my style is different.
Okay.
I connect emotionally. So my process of photography, it's less mental and more emotional. So the thought process for me is always, okay, she looks lovely. What are the, features that make her pop? What are the angles? Sometimes in conversation, because I'm also good at conversation. So before we have a shoot, I'm asking questions and I pick a few things. So if I know, oh, she's a bit insecure about her left hand, I always ask, which is your best side, you know?
Yeah.
So those little conversations help in kind of framing the shot and posing the client and all of that. But my heart is just to be able to bring the client in their best light.
Yeah.
I want you, when I take your photo, to put it against, like, I don't know, Beyonce, and people to be like, no, both these ladies are slaying, you know what I mean? So that's my heart. It's always just to bring 150% to the work, and in my soul, to just say, I really want to just flatter this person with just the ability and the creative ability and
Chenesai, I love you are exuding passion for photography. I mean, everything that you have said is like, you know, your soul is screaming, hey, I want this person to do that. And obviously I know that you take pictures of people. What about pictures of the scene? Or if I say, well, can you take a picture of that street light?
Yeah.
You know, do you do kind of art like that?
Yeah, I do. But, you know, with transitions and growth, sometimes you then tend to do more of stuff that kind of pays the bills. You also lose your creative, you know, juices at some point. But when I started, I remember I would take buildings of like Hurudza House against the backdrop of a sunset and all of that. If you go to my page, sometimes I love black and white photography and I love street photography. And even when I travel, I remember when I went to Cape Town, when I went to Zanzibar, just the scenery, just the people, building. So yeah, I also take other things besides, even food photography.
Oh, yummy. I like to eat, though.
That are not particularly, that are not particularly people, but just, you know, just architecture, places, all that
things
stuff.
Like that. Okay, so difference between, what would be better? I know you just said black and white. We call that what, in sepia? Is that what it's called?
I have no idea. I know monochrome.
Monochrome.
Yeah.
And things like that. What is better? What would you say, in your experience, brings out a story about somebody or their event, whatever it is? What captures it, color or black and white?
I think both. It depends with the story. So sometimes, for example, like a wedding, if it's someone dancing on the floor, definitely a colored photo is better.
Okay.
But if it's, I remember posting a picture where there's the father-in-law hugging the son-in-law, the parents of the groom and the parents of and the mother of the bride just looking into it. White color just didn't crack it. Black and white really just brought the emotion. Yeah. So it just really depends. But personal favorite, definitely it has to be black and white.
Yeah.
The accents of the contracts just really speak to my soul. I enjoy that better.
So in life, you know, we have situations where somebody will look at Chenesai and say, hey, I want to be like her. Are you mentoring anybody? And what is your kind of mentorship regime?
Yeah, I mean, I've been mentoring since I started.
Right.
So started in 2013, had my first mentoring student like 8 months later, you know, and I think I've mentored about 8 people now. I recently actually brought in a student 2 weeks back. And yeah, so I've been mentoring, but also just as a passion. I'm passionate about...
so you don't pay, they're not paying classes, you just...
They weren't paying, but the one from 2 weeks back actually was like, how much do you pay? You know, I want to pay for this. Very serious student. I'm like, you know,
okay.
I ain't complaining. I ain't complaining.
And I think that sometimes we do need to appreciate our gifts.
Definitely.
And you also have things to do, so we should appreciate you monetary-wise for the knowledge that you have accrued over 10 years. So speaking of these 10 years, Chenesai, the next 10 years, what is that looking like for you? Definitely
mentorship.
Okay.
Definitely training, consulting for me. I still want to do weddings. Okay. I've branched off into corporate. I still really want to spread my roots in those areas for sure. Yeah. But I just want to be able to contribute significantly to the creative space in Zim, which is, by the way, just exploding. Like, it's just really amazing. So...
Do you have any like photography hubs or photography events or people where all different kinds of photographies come together?
Yeah, actually there's one that I'm attending next week for the wedding industry, just a meet and greet and all of that stuff. So these do happen quite often. So for me, I think the next 10 years, that's it. You know, just growth, sharing my knowledge, being able to see other young people grow and just inspire, but also tell women's stories, eh?
Yeah, women's stories need to come.
That's it.
And you also play the guitar?
Yeah.
I had to throw that in. Yes, I play guitar as well. So
is
it's
it?
fun. Yeah,
that's great. I play a little bit of acoustic, a little bit of bass. Hoping
bass,
to learn some piano, keyboard next year. But I'm passionate about music as well. Yeah.
That's very good. Chenesai, where do we find you when we want our photos done?
So our studio is in Eastleigh, 214 Robert Mugabe Road, just before Cresta Masasa, that open space by Cresta Masasa, and you can get in touch on our work line, which is 0772-120-031, email pixelphotography@gmail.com, social media handles, Facebook and Instagram, Pixel Photo and Pixel Business.
Pixel Photo, Pixel Business.
Yes.
But all social media
Yes,
handles.
all social media
And
handles.
214. 214.
Robert Mugabe Road, yeah.
Robert Mugabe, 214 Robert Mugabe Road.
Yeah.
Chenesai, thank you so much for joining us this
been
morning. And you
an
know what?
Absolute pleasure.
Looking forward to seeing more of your work, more
Thank
of
you
you
so
mentoring
much.
young ladies
Thank
who
you so
are,
much.
you know,
Thank you so
rearing
much.
into the photography industry.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.